You know the drill. You're making out. You start feeling your way downtown. One of you wants to make a move to Cunnilingus, but you don't have protection. Dental dams are hard to use, hard to come by, and condoms taste like, well, condoms. Hundreds of millions of people worldwide have STIs that can be transmitted via oral sex. So let me introduce you to Lorals, a first-of-its-kind product that provides protection, sexy style, and comfort. And it tastes like vanilla. Lorals for Protection are FDA approved for STI protection during oral-based activities. And Lorals for Pleasure are the perfect cross between sexy lingerie and kinky toys. These thin and incredibly stretchy single-use silky latex undies are worn during fingering, rimming, oral sex, tribbing, and more. Head over to mylorals.com to get your 4-pack today. Be sure to use my code for a discount at checkout. What's Your Position Podcast? All one word. And remember, stay safe, stay kind, and stay sexy with Lorals.
What's Your Position podcast may contain adult themes, sexual discussions, and strong language. We want everyone to be educated, but we are intended for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Live from WYP Studios in Huntington Beach, California, this is What's Your Position? On today's show, we talk with relationship and intimacy coach, Brianna Carey. I'm pregnant. Pregnant with emotion? I'm pregnant with a baby. And now your host, Ashley Weller.
Welcome, fellow humans, to another episode of What's Your Position podcast. Is that from Knocked Up?
Ding, 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 ding. Oh, I didn't. Wait.
Give me my horn. With emotion? No, I'm pregnant with a baby.
And then the next one, I wasn't going to do it. She's like, I'm pregnant. Pregnant? Fuck you.
Oh, my God. Today on What's Your Position, we have Brianna, who has been in the sexual health field for over 14 years and is currently a relationship and intimacy coach. And after the birth of her son in 2015, she experienced persistent pain in her vulva, and it affected how she was able to be intimate with her husband after the birth of her child. And she was really frustrated because her OBGYN, as so many do, I actually have a stat about this, oddly enough. Her OBGYN said, just relax, have a glass of wine, and use more lube. And I'm sorry.
That goes for everybody.
That's not funny, but that's like, was that his actual medical advice?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm shocked. I'm just not shocked, actually. Shocked, not shocked. So she wanted to research more about how this pain was affecting her and how to reconnect with herself, her husband, and both of their pleasure, really. And then she heard similar stories from people. And this is something that I find super fascinating because I don't necessarily feel like we hear a lot of these stories from women who experience this vulvular or intimate pain after childbirth. And where were you hearing these stories? Who were you talking to where you were able to share this same sort of pain with other women?
Yeah. So for the 14 years, I was in a direct sales company. And so I was doing in-home parties. And so it was an intimacy company. And so I literally...
What kind of party? What kind of parties?
Yeah.
What kind?
It was a pure romance. So adult
sex toy parties?
Sex toy parties. Yes, ma'am.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so it was literally like...
You don't know this yet, but you might be my new best friend.
I love it. I love
so
how
you're
big
in
women.
these intimacy parties. Okay, that makes a little more sense to me. You're already in a space where sex and intimacy and romance and sexual pleasure is already on the table, right? Literally on the table. Dildos are on the coffee table.
Right
like
there.
sex is right there. Yeah. Okay.
In your face.
And then it's in there in lots of places. And so you're talking to these women and finding out that other women who have gone through childbirth have experienced this pain, and relaxing lube and wine just weren't cutting it.
Doing it. No. Shocker, I know.
Interestingly enough, like I said, I do have a statistic about this. So 29%, there was a study that was done in 2019 by Science Direct. This is not the stat of the day. This is just happens to be a random. I know he was ready with the button.
I heard a stat and I was like, let's do it. You let me know.
Ready to go. Don't do it. Don't you do it. 29% said don't you do it. 29% of women when pregnant discussed sexual activity with their doctor. Only 29%. And 49% of those women brought it up themselves. So 50% of women are bringing up sexual intimacy with their OBGYN, a specialist of the vulva. Someone who should have knowledge about vulvular pain and sexual intimacy. And 50% of these women had to be the one to bring this up. 76% who were surveyed in this study said they had not discussed these issues with their doctor and felt that they should have been discussed at some point. Are you hearing the same kind of statistics in your line of work?
Yeah, 100%. So that's what I found a lot of times. And a lot of times the women weren't necessarily directly postpartum. Sometimes these women had adult children. It's 20 years after they had kids and they're still experiencing pain and they don't talk to their doctors about it. They would tell me things that they would not even feel comfortable talking to their doctors about. And that is concerning.
That's heartbreaking. Like a medical professional who's supposed to be able to guide you through this entire that's their whole, you have one job.
Yeah.
I'm lost at this. Okay. So, Brianna, please tell me, what is a relationship and intimacy coach, and how did you get your husband to agree to do this job with you? Because that sounds like literally the best life ever. You get to talk to people about sex with your partner. Like, blow my mind, why don't you?
Yeah. So I lean into being more of a relationship and intimacy coach to help support individuals and the partnership as a whole in all aspects of intimacy, not just sex. It's about the emotional connection. It's about how you can be physical without sex and how can you stay connected. And again, supporting the relationship through various stages that we all go through. You know, the sex that you have and the connection you have when you first start dating is not what happens after 10 years, not what it is after having a baby, you know? And so these
going through menopause,
exactly,
going through like health, anyone who has health issues, if they get, into an accident, heaven forbid, or if they, get older and have to start taking medication that affects their libido.
So much. Oh my gosh. A lot of, And I'm just like, a lot of anxiety, depression meds, all that effect.
There is so much that goes on a day-to-day basis that affects our sex drive. It isn't just age. It isn't just childbirth. It isn't just medication.
Life.
It could be allergies. Fuck.
Yeah.
Living in Southern California when the Santa Ana winds blow, stay away from me. Like, I'm upset. I feel like I live in a blow dryer and no, I don't want to have sex with you. Like, but then the next day it's cold and I'm like, come and cuddle my vagina. Let's go.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and your family. How did you get into a sex toy party industry? That's incredible.
Yeah. So I was actually in college when I went to my first party. It was unknowingly. I thought it was just girls' night and wine. I know. I was like, show up and like my friends that I grew up with, our moms are there. We're all hanging out. And then all of a sudden this woman starts pulling.
Your moms were there?
Yeah. So they planned the whole thing. this woman starts
Lord.
pulling things out of her Mary Poppins bag. And I'm like, Mom, what kind of party is this? What is happening right now? I'm 21. And I'm like, okay, is this even legal? What's going on? But I learned so much about sex, relationships, and being in college. I was an education major. In a new relationship myself, I realized the importance of what she was sharing. And bringing that to the college community, helping women my age to be comfortable and confident in communicating their wants and desires. And so that's where it began.
You should put that on a shirt.
Oh, well, thank you. I don't know what I just said, but it just kind of comes through me sometimes. Yeah. And so that's where it kind of began. And then the new relationship I was in is my now husband. And he is a licensed professional counselor. And so it was kind of an easy transition to get him into coaching with me.
Yeah.
And he gets to bring the therapy aspect. I get to bring the sex education aspect. And so it's just a beautiful blend of the two to support. Plus, I think it's comforting when we are working with couples. The male partner has someone that understands them and their perspective too. So
yeah. And they feel probably more supported, and not in any way that a female therapist can't support a male client, and vice versa. There are plenty of male therapists who can support. And sometimes the comfortability, sometimes there's trauma with female on female, dynamic. And so a female may feel more comfortable with a male therapist and vice versa.
Right.
But it also helps that you are a couple and that you have gone through struggles. And I feel like, as someone who's in a coupledom, I would feel better if my therapist was married. And I know that, and I don't want to I sometimes say to my classes when I talk about the gynecologist, I teach college, and a lot of these girls have not yet gone to the gynecologist. That is another episode in and of itself.
For sure.
When I talk to them, I'm always like, I actually prefer a female gynecologist simply because they have the same equipment. Yeah. They have a vulva, they've got labia, they know not to stick their fingers too far in when they're palpitating my fallopian tube. They know to use extra amount of lube. But I just recently had to go to a male gynecologist because it was the only one available for me to put my IUD in. I have a whole episode on this IUD insertion. And he was the best gynecologist I've ever had. And it completely flipped my script on the judgment I had based on a male gynecologist versus a female gynecologist. It was crazy. But I do understand what you're saying about being able to relate to the couples that you meet and to the people that you see. Now, do you typically tell people you focus mainly on the aspects of pregnancy and postpartum intimacy, or do you focus on everything?
We do everything. So we do have a focus on pregnancy and postpartum because that's where I found that there is literally no support. There's so much out there about, pregnant, what you're going to go through the body, having, birth, and then taking care of a baby. But there's nothing in there about how to foster your relationship with your partner and how your partner, your relationship literally changes after having a baby. What can the male partner in that expect, right? As far as the recovery period, and how can they support you? Because a lot of times we find that dads go through postpartum depression themselves because they feel so disconnected. Yeah. They don't have a quote unquote purpose, right? There's just so much. And so just providing resources and support during that. But we do absolutely help couples outside of that as well.
Yeah. I'd like to get into my stat of the day.
Yes.
He's on point. It's the stat of the day. Ready to go. Johnny on the spot. It's the stat of the day. So while looking up statistics about sex and pregnancy, I noticed a lot of discussion surrounding libido and pregnancy, and that pregnant women actually get a surge of libido when they're pregnant. during the second trimester is what I read a lot about. Was the second trimester is when they feel the best, the sexiest. That's the morning sickness typically has abated. They haven't gained all the weight, so their ankles aren't quite as large as they're going to eventually be. They don't have as much back pain. And the second trimester is really that golden time for them physically, sexually, and body-wise. Some women feel a dip in their libido during pregnancy, but according to one study, what percentage of women admitted to having the highest level of sexual desire than ever before? So the guest has to guess first. What percentage of women admitted to having the highest levels of libido they have ever had during pregnancy?
57%.
57%. Guest says 57.
You know what's coming.
I do know what's coming, LOL.
69%.
All right. So guest says 57%, and Robert Main, producer extraordinaire, says 69%, which is his go-to number. So we will come back at the end of the episode with the answer to that. Guests and our audience, think of your answers, if you will. What percentage of women reported to having the highest levels of libido in their whole life during pregnancy? So why do you think the libido increases during that second trimester? And not just like, oh, the morning sickness is gone, I finally feel my libido coming back. But so many women report massive increases, and better orgasms during pregnancy. What do you think is going on physically or psychologically? Is it that the clitoris is swollen? Is it that the inside of the clitoris is that the vaginal canals are more sensitive? What do you think is happening physically and mentally that's causing this increase in libido and increase in orgasmic ability and sensation?
Such a great question. Yeah, during that second trimester, the hormone levels tend to level out a little bit more than, when you're the first trimester, there's just a spike in everything. And that's why there's that kind of, nausea that can linger, not just during the morning, but all day long. And so, just the fluctuations. And so it starts to level out a little bit. You start to get a little bit more comfortable. There's definitely blood flow, some engorgement that does happen, but it's not completely it's not paired with the intense pressure during the third trimester where you have all of the weight sitting on your bladder and you can't hardly move. And so there is just, an ease about the second trimester in a typical pregnancy.
In typical. So again, and what we're talking about today is all typical, normal, quote unquote, pregnancies. There's caveats to every pregnancy. If you have, a propensity for preeclampsia, if you have a doctor telling you, preeclampsia is help me. I can't explain it the best.
Yeah, preeclampsia is usually high blood pressure, and it can cause a lot of swelling and various things. Typically towards the third trimester, but
it can cause an increase in the heart rate of the baby, and it can cause difficulty, and it can cause blood clots. It can cause preterm birth. So preeclampsia is very dangerous for a lot of women.
Kind of sounds like a metal band. All these medical terms. They could be metal bands.
Preeclampsia. If you're also told by a doctor that you should stay on bed rest, you have a difficult pregnancy. All of these things need to be taken into consideration when we talk about intimacy during pregnancy. But when we talk about the intimate acts during pregnancy and sex during pregnancy, we are talking about a normal, typical pregnancy. But sex is a healthy activity that can and should be enjoyed by most people throughout pregnancy. Not only is it beneficial for the relationship, not only is it beneficial for the pregnant woman to experience intimacy and orgasm, but I have read, and damn it if I didn't do so much searching to find it, I have read somewhere the more orgasms a pregnant person has, the happier the baby is long term. There was a study, I can't find it to save my fucking life, and I'm pissed. There was a study that was done, a long-term study. They followed children for like 15 years, and the women who had more orgasms while they were pregnant tended to have happier children throughout that child's life.
Fascinating. And I believe it. Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
My mom did not masturbate enough while she was pregnant.
Apparently mine did. So I happen to be a really happy human being. So
No offense, Mom. I'm sure you did.
because not everyone who's pregnant has a partner. So not everyone who's pregnant is going to be able.
Her partner was my dad. I totally get it.
So she didn't have a partner. Yeah. Not everyone who's pregnant is going to have a partner who's A, into pregnant women, B, around enough, or C, who exists. And so self-pleasure is also something that is important for pregnant women as well. Masturbation as well. You can have an orgasm by yourself. That's not by yourself. But sex during pregnancy is very important. Intimacy during pregnant is extremely important. It cultivates intimacy. You can discover things about yourself that you've never known before. You can learn new sex positions, which when we come back from break is going to be part of my tip of the day. You can have better sex during pregnancy, feeling better in your body. A lot of pregnant women just feel more comfortable in a pregnant body. My friend Jessica came on an episode and she said she never felt sexier. Do you hear that a lot?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's both, and it kind of just depends on maybe what support or messages they've received and their family dynamic, social, their partner, things like that. But yeah, oh my gosh, and I resonate so much. I loved being pregnant.
Yeah? How many children do you have?
We have two. So we
Fantastic.
have a 7-year-old and then a 3-year-old.
And your pregnancies were typical?
Completely different. Nope.
Oh.
Nope. So
Nope.
yeah, my
Not
son
even a little bit.
in 2015, typical pregnancy. It was great. We went to Europe when I was 6 months pregnant and trotted all over. It was great, except I couldn't drink the wine, which was unfortunate. They encouraged it, but I was like, I'm okay.
Or the cheese.
Yeah, I know. But it was, great. Besides,
wait, you can't eat cheese when you're pregnant either? I know booze is a thing.
So
cheeses,
certain cheeses
deli
aren't
meat.
Mm-hmm.
pasteurized.
Right. Especially over there.
Especially in France, where
Right.
the good fucking cheese is. And then deli meat. There are some deli meats. Unofficial sponsor, Boar's Head. You can actually eat Boar's Head because it's like you have to eat it within 2 days of slicing it because it's super all natural. But hard cheeses are fine, like Parmesan. Go figure.
You ladies have it tough.
It's rough, right? You can't have sushi when you're pregnant. It's fucking
I know.
bullshit.
Just get that giant book of things you can't do from the movie Knocked Up.
Yeah,
that
what
we
else can't you do?
referenced earlier.
Yeah, what else can't you? What else can't you
Jump on a trampoline,
can't get in a jacuzzi.
right?
Can't take a bath unless it's lukewarm because you're going to cook the baby, make it a little scrambled egg. You're not supposed to do that. I actually read something doing research for this podcast. I know this is absolutely fucking false for majority of people. I read... I don't even know if I can say it without laughing. I'm going to try and be serious. Anal sex can kill the fetus.
Oh, good Lord.
You just turned it into a Republican?
I also read oral sex can kill a fetus. And I was like, wait, who's writing this shit?
Republicans. Yeah.
Fact.
Yeah.
No pleasure. No pleasure for you. No pleasure for you. No pleasure for that hole. No pleasure for that hole. No one gets pleasure. Nobody. I don't know why. They said that that anal sex could rupture the placenta. And I was like, nope, they're not really close to one another. So I don't really understand how that's working out. And they said that if you blow into a vagina, you can kill a fetus. And I have two questions. First of all, who the fuck is blowing into vaginas? Stop it. Stop
Don't do that.
Don't do that. I don't care if you're pregnant or not pregnant.
No.
Don't blow in my vagina. That's disgusting. No air needs to be in there. And number two,
it's not a balloon.
It's not a balloon. Thank you, Robert.
You're welcome.
It's not. It's not.
Come on.
And why
Come on,
would
guys.
blowing into a vagina kill a fetus?
Carbon monoxide poisoning? I'm kind of a joke, but kind of serious. I mean, you breathe out carbon monoxide. There's a tiny space in
It
there.
actually says that if there's a blood clot near the placenta, blowing into the vagina can push the blood clot up into the brain.
All right, whether if that's true or not, just don't blow.
Don't blow in the vagina.
But
why are we perpetuating these horrific? What are some other myths that you have heard about sex and pregnancy? Because a lot of women, 46% of women think you're not supposed to have sex during pregnancy, which is, I looked this statistic up on 4 different websites and took the average of the 3. 46% of women think you are not supposed to have sex during pregnancy because it could harm the baby or cause preterm labor. And if the women are thinking this, their partners have probably also got to be thinking this. I mean, they're the ones in charge of that pregnant body. Have you heard any other crazy sex pregnant myths?
If you have sex, you can, poke the baby in the head. Just those typical, you know what I mean? Like the fear that guys have, right? Like they think, like, okay, there's like some barriers there, but there's
babies can feel the semen. I've heard that semen can cause a baby to get sick. I have heard a pretty cool rumor that I think is probably true, thinking about it, but a baby can feel the contractions of an orgasm, and that it actually causes stimulation for them to move and get healthier. And the release of the oxytocin, the release of the dopamine, and the release of the serotonin that comes with any orgasm actually gets transferred through the blood barrier in the placenta to the baby. And the baby gets all of these great happy chemicals. And those contractions actually are like a little massage for the baby.
Yeah. That's more in line with like the good positive stuff that you want to hear about. So, and totally true. And that's also why you have to be a little bit more mindful getting further into the 3rd trimester. At the beginning, you don't want to have, like, I don't know, there's just some things. Stimulating too many orgasms can cause preterm labor, just depending on where you're at. So, but of course, once you're there and you're like, due date, let's get this baby out. So.
I've actually heard people who have they're like 9 months, like almost 10, like this baby needs to come out, so I need to come. Like someone rub this because I got to get, I can't reach it, I can't see it, get over here and do things. But if you have an orgasm, it can actually induce labor, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
That's crazy because the contractions are like happening right there.
Yep, naturally
and then it starts that natural. It's almost like jump starting. Like a lawnmower. Jump starting a car.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, we're going to take a break. On that note, we are going to take a break. Oh, we're holding. Well, when we return from but when we come back from this break, we're going to talk about sex positions. So, Brianna, I want you to prepare for that. For anyone who is interested in engaging in super safe sex while they're pregnant or otherwise, check out Laurels at mylaurels.com. They have the very first of its kind STD, FDA approved STD protection underwear. Brianna, have you heard of this?
I have not.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to tell you about this. So it is latex underwear that is FDA approved to prevent STIs during oral sex, analingus, and vaginal to vaginal, like tribbing sex. It is latex, so it's made of the same stuff that condoms are made of, but it tastes like vanilla because nobody likes the taste of condoms, let's be real. And it is completely sexy. You can use it for impact play. You can use it for bondage play because it is made of latex. It's very sexy and silky. But during oral sex, during oral sex, analingus, and tribbing, it can actually help prevent STIs. And if you use my code, What's Your Position Podcast, all one word, you get 15% off your order. And they come in 4-packs and they come in sizes 0 to 46. Like they are running the gamut on every single body, everybody. So check it out. Brianna, check it out for your sex toys. Yeah. I know. I'm so excited that I got to teach you that. Yay. When we come back from break, we are going to talk about sex positions that you should try while you are pregnant. And we are also going to have Brianna tell us a little bit about some clients that she has helped get back into the swing of things after pregnancy, some possible complications that arise postpartum that might make it difficult for people to experience intimacy. Join us. We'll be back soon.
Prices and vices, I end up in crisis. All this time, I wake up screaming from dreaming. One day I'll watch as you're leaving, 'cause you got tired of my scheming. For the last time, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me. At tea time, everybody agrees. I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. It must be exhausting, always rooting for the anti-hero.
Welcome back, fellow humans. We are here with Brianna Carey, relationship and intimacy coach extraordinaire. And we are talking about pregnancy, sex, intimacy, and how to get back to your pre-pregnancy sexual self postpartum. Wow, that's a fun time. I think I might make that a title. Getting back to your pre-pregnancy self postpartum. I'm going to work on it. Couple of reasons why we should be having sex during pregnancy. Sex improves your mental health. Here at What's Your Position, this is probably our motto. Sex improves your mental health. It makes you a happier person. The more orgasms you have, the more oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine you release into your body. It can also improve your sleep. And we know that pregnant women need a lot of sleep to help grow that tiny human that's happening in there. Sex actually boosts your immune system and actually helps your overall health. It's exercise. It's good for you. Sex also can make recovery after delivery easier and can actually make delivery easier. Sex during pregnancy can help induce labor, which we just talked about a second ago. There's one other thing I wanted to ask you about, and I'm not 100% sure if you've heard of this. Have you ever heard of orgasmic delivery?
The music cut out right there. Dramatic pause.
It's called producing.
No, yes and no. Like, it sounds familiar, but no.
So apparently, there is a tantric sex class that pregnant women can take that teaches them how to be more orgasmic during their pregnancy. And they can actually train their bodies to have an orgasm during labor and delivery by either manual stimulation or stimulation from their partner, and they can have extremely pleasurable orgasms while they're giving birth, which can make the process of giving birth less painful, first of all, and also create a more welcoming and like warm, friendly environment for the child. What is your stance on this? It kind of sounds a bit woo-woo. It's a bit woo-woo for me.
Yeah, for sure woo-woo.
I don't have kids. I'm never going to. As someone who has had two,
yeah.
What are the chances of having an orgasm while you're pushing something the size of a watermelon out of the thing the size of a lemon? Like, what are the chances of that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm very intrigued and plan to look into this more. Tantra is just great all around. And so I think it just really comes down to the mental preparedness And being in your body is what the focus really is. And just
mindfulness, being present. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that in general helps with delivery, whether you're having an orgasm or not while you deliver. It does help ease the process. I did have both of my kiddos naturally, vaginally, no epidural or anything. And so it
intentionally, or did they just you? Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you. And I'm not saying that to say if you had an epidural, like everybody has their own path, but that was something that I really wanted. The body is
a lot of women I
incredible.
know. Yeah, a lot of women I know want that path, and they get to a certain point in the labor that just it becomes unbearable. And for some women, it's the size of their pelvis. For some women, it's the size of their hips, the shape and size of the baby. My sister is 5'2". Her husband is 6'6".
Oh boy.
And their 2-year-old wears a size 4T. Okay. So she wasn't doing a natural birth ever.
No.
Like, there was never an opportunity for her to even have that option.
Yeah.
They were like, sorry, she'll rip you wide open. You're having a C-section.
Yeah.
So deal with that. My sister-in-law had an epidural with my first nephew, but my second nephew, she kind of like ignored the contractions and was sort of like, I think they're Braxton Hicks. I don't really think it's time. And then all of a sudden she's like, his head is coming. And my brother had to go 90 down the freeway, and she gave birth in the hallway of the hospital, and the nurse caught my nephew. So she didn't have time for an epidural.
Right.
So it wasn't necessarily her choice. It just was like, here I am.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you got that experience. And the pain level, what would you say that pain level is equivalent to? Is there anything that you can equate it to?
No. I mean, and it's just, I don't know, looking back, you kind of, your body tricks you. Like, you have this beautiful memory to look back on. You're like, I had a baby out of this. It was great. And then you do it again. And in the moment, you're like, okay, this is tough. But then you get years down the road. And so with my son, like, I walked in, I was 9 centimeters dilated. They're like, we're having a baby. Let's go. Like, walked me down to the room, and it was pretty easy with him. It's just, I guess just because I mentally prepared a lot to have that experience. I went somewhere with that. I totally blanked on what you just asked.
No, I just said you had your children naturally.
Yeah.
Was the pain for either of them like something that was unbearable for you? Did you ever get to a point where you were like, I'm going to vomit?
Yeah, with my daughter.
Pass out.
So with my daughter, she's been, love her. She's a Gemini. She has been dramatic from the womb. Literally since 7 weeks on, it's been something with her. And I was in the hospital for 2 weeks with placenta previa, which means the placenta was covering my cervix. Yeah. And so I was having a lot of bleeding. I had to be in the hospital, which, again, bed rest for the last 2 months of my pregnancy. And
that sucks.
Yeah. Thankfully, it resolved. I was able to have birth naturally. She did. When I went into labor, my water broke. I also had a bunch of blood clots that were coming out. So I had to get in.
Fuck.
Yeah. So it sounds like very dramatic and like, but
that's just scary because blood clots can really cause some serious issues while you're giving birth. And when that, the afterbirth comes through, if any of those blood clots are behind it, women can go into shock. They can actually lose so much blood that they bleed out like after giving birth. And so that's a very scary thing.
Yeah. And the doctor on call was not super helpful when we walked in, but they were like, okay, we're going to give you some Pitocin. Oh, he came in. He was like, okay, so you had some big blood clots. You're probably not making it through the next couple hours. We're probably doing a C-section, just so you know. Like, was just very, I'm like, can you just, I'm literally trying to put my gown on. Can you like chill out? Like, it was just very abrasive and unnecessary.
Where was your doctor?
So it was like at 4:30 in the morning, and so she wasn't there yet. Yeah, and it was a Sunday, so my doctor didn't even deliver her. And so with her, they started me on Pitocin, which I am not a fan of, and that made it more painful. And I'm very sensitive to medications anyway, so that's another reason why I didn't want to do epidurals. I've heard a lot of horror stories with that, you know, being put in the wrong way, being stuck too many times. I don't like needles. So just all the
It's actually
things.
a lot of research that says that babies who were born to women who had epidurals can actually have, this is a really weird statistic, and I'd like to do some more background research before I stick to it. But babies born to women who have epidurals that are not done correctly can have more learning disabilities than babies who are born to women who give birth naturally without epidurals or who give birth with an epidural that's done correctly. My mother had 2 epidurals, and I was born, I wasn't born this early because of the epidurals, but I was 8 weeks early. And she was 18. So preterm birth is very common for people under the age of 21 because your body's just not capable of delivering a child because you're still a child.
Right.
And I was born I was supposed to be born in May, and I was born April 6th. And I was in an incubator for the first 3 days of my life because the doctor gave my mom too much of the epidural, and I wasn't breathing when I came out. And I've had lung issues for my entire life and dyslexia, which who knows if that's actually from the epidural or not, but I'm sitting here
Well, your dad has it too.
My dad has
I
dyslexia
think
too,
it's
so it could
more
actually be a genetic thing.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Probably didn't help though.
Probably didn't help the fact that I have dyslexia. But I mean, yeah, I can understand your fear as far as getting an epidural, especially if you are super sensitive to medications. And I've heard same horror stories of Pitocin that, you know, it's, can I just have one and then be done with it? Like, I just don't want too much of that in my body.
And that's what, they kept cranking it up. So with her, it was more painful because my body wasn't progressing naturally. And then she did get stuck. Both kids got stuck. So, and so it was,
God. Well, we're going to talk about my tip of the day because I feel like you are an expert in this area. So for my tip.
Tip of the day.
Yeah, we talk a lot about that voice, but those drums are really good.
The drums are great.
Pretty good.
It's a really good song. It's fucking phenomenal. It's my favorite song that we have on this entire podcast. Sex doesn't have to end because you're pregnant. And a lot of pregnant women just don't know how to have sex when they're pregnant. A lot of people think missionary is the only position that exists in sex. Sadly, that's a lot of the country here for you because of Puritan beliefs, because of religious beliefs, because they didn't get sex education in school. I have an entire episode on that. If you'd like to go and check that out, we can talk about sex education in this country. It's pretty fucking shitty. But it's difficult for people to obviously talk to their doctor about sex positions. And not everyone has a Brianna to come to their house and show them sex toys and talk about sex positions. And not everyone has an Ashley who has a podcast that they can listen to or even know about. So for my tip of the day, I would like to talk about some really great sex positions for pregnant people. Would you please chime in with your thoughts? Cowgirl. So girl on top.
Yeah.
This is one of the most preferred positions by pregnant people because it allows for the sexual satisfaction of both partners. It allows for clitoral stimulation. It allows the pregnant person to be in control of the sexual movement. And it allows for them to also control the friction, the pressure, and how deep the penis is going inside the vaginal canal. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a great position. I know typically towards the 3rd trimester, a lot of women steer away from that because they are feeling larger. It's a little bit harder to, move yourself in certain ways, your thighs are burning after a while. So I know that typically they kind of it gets a little more difficult in that point, but 2nd trimester, like, heck yeah, go for it.
Right away. Doggy style. A favorite position for actually the majority of people. Doggy style is their preferred position, pregnant or not. It's a great rear entry position that helps keeping the pressure off of that belly. A partner can enter from behind and stimulate the clitoris, which most women need clitoral stimulation to achieve orgasm, pregnant or not. This also allows the belly to be free, and it's more comfortable to hold your weight on all 4 arms and legs. Thoughts?
Yeah, that's a great one. And also pillows underneath the hips can help to alleviate some pressure and things like that. So definitely love that one. Again, just to communicating with a partner about the depth so there's not any like cervical pain. So
undue cervical pain. Yeah, for sure. Cunnilingus. Sitting on a bed, laying on a bed with pillows underneath the rump, which is helpful in elevating that clitoris and helpful for taking that pressure off the lower back, which a lot of women have lower back pain. This sexual position is great in the third trimester. Having oral sex performed on you during the third trimester is going to be A, the easiest because you don't have to do anything, and B, the most satisfying because there's no penetration of an object. So you feel a little less concerned about any sort of like what you had that
pain.
Placenta previa. The other thing is using a vibrator as well on the clitoris is a great alternative in the third trimester. Yes?
All of that.
Yeah. Great. Reverse cowgirl. This, I feel like, is something that can be probably done more likely in the first trimester where the woman's on top and facing away. It does take a lot more thigh and leg strength. And the larger you are, probably the more difficult this position is going to be. But it does help with the entry of the penis into the vaginal canal because when you're coming from behind, you're less likely to hit the cervix.
Yeah.
Mutual masturbation. This is a great one if you are concerned with any sort of penetration, but you're also concerned that oral sex is going to kill your baby. Fucking understand these fucking people. Mutual masturbation is a great way to go. It can also help you feel connected to your body and help you feel connected to your partner. Now, as an intimacy coach, are you encouraging people to masturbate with their partners, pregnancy or not?
Absolutely. 100%. And that's one of the things that we kind of take couples through postpartum is an activity so that she can get more comfortable with her body, and we can delve into how to get into sex after baby if you want to. But yeah, mutual masturbation is amazing.
It's brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Spooning. I love sleepy sex. I call this sleepy sex, but a lot of people call it spooning. But this is where the woman is laying on her side and the man is laying on his side and entering from behind, not necessarily entering anally, but entering from behind. And this alleviates a lot of pressure on mom because the belly can be supported by both mom and dad while sex is happening. It's also a very intimate, close position, and clitoral stimulation can happen. And also, entering from that angle does alleviate some of that clitoral pressure, or cervical pressure as well. Yeah. And lastly, anal sex. They are suggesting anal sex during pregnancy. If it's something that you've already been engaging in, something that you already know how to do and are comfortable with, making sure that you are engaging in foreplay ahead of time and using so much lube, like all of it, like all of the lube, like there's all of them.
Could you recommend a lube?
I can recommend 2 lubes. One, Fiora, which is a CBD-based lube. You may not want to use that one while you're pregnant, but during anal sex, that's an amazing one. They actually have CBD suppositories that you can stick in the anal cavity to help alleviate pain and help open up the anal cavity to reduce pain during anal sex. And they also have a CBD lubrication that warms and increases blood flow. And then Pulse lubrication has a very organic, all-natural, water-based lubricant called H2O. And they have a lube warmer on their website. You put your lube in this warmer and you put your hand under it like a little hand sanitizer, and it comes out preheated lube. It's brilliant for me. But anal sex is something that you want to make sure you're not trying for the first time during pregnancy because there's a lot of changes that are happening to the body. If you have placenta previa, do not have anal sex. They're saying that is actually dangerous. So anal sex is something you need to practice only if it is recommended by a doctor or that you are already well versed in. Comments?
Yeah. Don't try it for the first time when you're pregnant. Please.
And use lube.
And it's so much lube. Yeah.
So much lube.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I have a question for you. I would like to know what an erotic blueprint is.
Oh my gosh, I love this so much. Yeah, so it's like the 5 love languages for the bedroom.
What?
Yeah.
I just got chill. So I'm like a 5 love language, like
She never shuts up about it.
so much.
That's how much she gets.
Yeah,
loves
it's
it.
so important.
Teach entire
eyes lit
classes.
up.
I like, please. Okay, I'm going to shut up. Tell me.
So it's, the 5 love languages for the bedroom. And so I hear a lot from especially women. They're like, I'm just not into sex. I've lost my desire. I'm not, I know I need to for him. And I'm like, whoa. It's a mismatch in communication styles. And so there's 5 of them. And so go check out Sex Love Goop on Netflix. This is where I first learned about it. Jaya is the practitioner that created this.
Sex, love, goop. Are we talking about Goop Gwyneth Paltrow?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this person is called Gaia. Is she
Jaya.
like a sex Jaya? Is she a sex relationship coach?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a whole series of a bunch of different things. You're going to love it. Yeah.
How have I not fucking heard of this?
know.
Like, I'm really upset with myself right now. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
So there's 5 different types. There's an energetic, there's a sensual, kinky, sexual, and shapeshifter, which is going to be all 4 of them. And typically, a lot of men are
Is there
sexual.
a quiz?
There is. Yes. So there's a free quiz where you can find out what your primary is. And then if you pay, I think it's like $17, you get the whole breakdown of each percentage for each one. So it's really great to do that paid one for you and your partner, because then you get to see where you overlap. So if, she's an energetic, he's a sexual, and he's coming out and saying like, hey baby, you ready? And she's like, no, I'm not, because the energy has to be right for her to be engaged and to feel turned on and to respond. And so this invites so many opportunities for play and experimenting with different things.
So it's like speaking the sexual language to your partner. Yeah. So if one partner is all about the sexual and is like, I just want to bang you. Yeah. And the other partner's like, I need some fucking candles and some Barry White.
Yes.
Like, I can't bang till I have those 2 things. If you don't know this going into it, you're speaking gibberish to each other. And then one of you is just either giving in to the other partner's language and saying, just do whatever you want, I'm not into it. Yeah. Or no sex happens at all and everyone has to shut up. And that's not fun for anybody.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. It was
I'm going to do an entire episode on this.
Oh, please do.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. What are some, you have some games that you introduce to individuals postpartum that they can play with their partner. The 3-minute touch game. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So this one's great because it invites connection into the relationship and takes sex off the table. So this is all non-sexual touch. So when a woman goes to the 6-week postpartum checkup, I joke that that's the only date that a guy actually remembers, is that 6th week. They're like coming back. That's when they set the mood, right? That they have got everything set. And
that's
like,
when they've got the bath with the rose petals. So the 6-week postpartum checkup, for those who don't know, is the checkup where the doctor can say either, hey, you're good to go. You can engage in exercise.
Right.
Or
you can resume all normal activities. Right. Yeah.
Resume all normal activities.
That's what I was told.
So at the 6-week checkup, they are going to look at the cervix.
Cheese and wine, baby.
Cheese and wine. Cheese and wine
sex,
sushi.
Cheese and
Let's
wine.
fucking go. You can introduce sex. You can introduce exercise. They're going to check if you had a episiotomy, which is where they had to cut the perineum.
Metal band. Episiotomy?
Episiotomy.
These are all great metal bands.
First single, perineum. They check to make sure your sutures are okay. If you had a C-section, they're checking to make sure that there's no additional bleeding, that your period has resumed to its normal state, that you are feeling healthy and feeling well, that your hormone levels are returning to a normal level, all of the good things that are supposed to be happening postpartum. But yes, this is the date where men are like, can we fuck or what?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. So with my son, I had a 2nd-degree labial tear. And yeah. And yeah.
Labial tear,
Yeah.
3rd single by episiotomy.
And I went to my 6-week appointment and she
I'm
was-
sorry.
Yeah.
What the fuck is a labial tear? Literally your labia tore?
Literally. Yeah. So I had I think it was 2 or 3 stitches. And she
In your
didn't.
labia.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it would have taken longer for her to numb me than it would
Okay.
have to stitch me. So she just literally stitched me while I'm holding my baby, Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
It's pretty metal.
My labia hurts.
Right. It's just
So does
closing
mine.
in on itself.
It is. It's like shriveling up. They're both labia are holding each other,
Yeah, they're like,
cradling
"It's
each other
okay."
right now. It's okay. You're okay.
Yeah.
You're okay.
Yeah.
So how long did it take that labial tear to repair itself?
So it was healed at my 6-week appointment.
No, was it?
Right. Yeah. I was like, no. So there was no talk about how to help with the scar tissue, how to help with the pain, all of this stuff. So literally it took 8 weeks. So 2 weeks after that, we tried to have sex. I was like, this hurts. Get away from me. We tried it was not much to it. Not much to it
No,
at all.
this hurts. Go the fuck away.
Yeah,
Bye.
and so we're like, okay, we tried again 2 weeks later, and it was about 4 months postpartum when I was like, okay, let's go ahead and I made another appointment. That's when she was like, have you tried relaxing? Have some wine and use more lube. And I was like, this is what I do for I teach women about this, what is happening. And so that's where my exploration
It was a
came
female OBGYN that said that
in. My
to you?
midwife, yeah,
Your midwife?
midwife. I know. So it's this is, and there's no talk of pelvic floor therapy or anything like
Kegels.
that. Yeah, and Kegels can be not the issue, the solution also, because
Right.
a lot of women are
Sure.
too tight.
Kegels is a pop band. They're not metal.
Kegels is a
It's a
pop
pop
punk
Yeah.
band, not a metal
Not even
band.
like punk. They're just like bubblegum pop. Kegels. Here comes Kegels.
Squeeze the floor, squeeze some more.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We are ridiculous on this podcast. I'm so
No,
sorry.
I love it.
Baseball
This is,
metaphors and metal band names.
fantastic.
And you're right. Some women are too tight after giving birth. And so Kegels aren't the right answer.
Well, just
I
in
actually
general, yeah.
Yeah.
Stress.
I went to a gynecologist one time and they stuck the speculum in and it spit back out. And she goes, wow, you have the vagina of a 12-year-old. And I was like, thank you. She's like,
Inappropriate.
do you do Kegels? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, you may want to tone it down. I was like, okay.
Okay.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. So all of that to say that connecting after having a baby can be very scary, intimidating. I recommend women getting in touch with their body first before introducing your partner. So
That's smart.
self-pleasure, but not necessarily to pleasure, just to get familiar, because birth
Feel
is
around.
traumatic. Even if you didn't have any labial tears or episiotomies or anything, it's traumatic to that. And so your body only remembers the pain. You need to reintroduce pleasure into those nerve endings. So
Yeah.
the 3-minute touch game helps to bring the connection back to the partner, to the relationship, taking all non-sexual touch. And so it's where you sit down, you relax, you put on some meditation music, and it's also a great way for women to really tap into their body and ask for what they want. What they truly want, what would feel good to them. So they will sit there and their partner asks them, how do you want me to touch you?
Wow.
So simple, but it is so powerful.
Wow.
So she sits there and says, I would really like it if you just played with my hair.
Oh, yeah.
And so he can ask some clarifying questions. And I say he just because
Sure.
they ask clarifying questions. You know, do you want me to use my fingers? Do you want me to use a brush? Do you want me to braid it? What do you want me to do?
Do you want me to wash it?
Right. And so they ask these clarifying questions and they say, okay, great. They play music for 3 minutes and that's the touch that he does or they do for her. And then they reciprocate. So then she says, how do you want me to touch you? You can be like, I would really like it if you rub my shoulders. How much pressure do you want? To this and that. And then you flip-flop and then the other partner gets to do the touch that they want to do to their partner.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
So I want to touch I want to scratch your back.
Yeah.
Or
I want to play with your beard.
Play with your beard. I was just going to say that my husband has a beard.
Yeah,
I'm
same.
Like, you just
like want to, yeah.
That's where you ladies go? I'm boobs. I touch boobs.
Non-sexual.
It's non-sexual.
Wow.
Yeah.
Non-sexual.
And so it's just a beautiful way. And then, when you're feeling connected, it could be like, hey, is this a possibility after? Also probably not for your first time. So just take it off the table. And it's just a beautiful way to get in touch with your body, ask for what you want. It's great for communication. Oh.
That's amazing. That is really beautiful. I love that. We're going to take a really, really quick break. When we come back, I want us to talk about how to navigate sexual intimacy with young children in the house. And I would also really love to talk about how a woman can begin to feel sexy postpartum, whether she's with a partner or by herself, how a woman can really come back to her body, begin to love her postpartum body, because your body will be forever changed when you have a baby. It will never be that body that you had in college or 9 months ago. Doesn't matter how old you are. So I really want to get into a woman loving her postpartum body and how to have sex with kids in the house. I feel like that's really hard for a lot of people. So join us. We'll be right back.
Fucked and drank all night, acted all alright, had no need to fight tonight.
Ever waddle to the bathroom after sex, towel between your legs, desperately trying to keep the freshly delivered load from dripping down your leg and onto your hardwood? Well, worry no more. Awkward Essentials introduces the Drip Stick, or as I like to call it, the cum sponge. This medical-grade sponge sucks up jizz before it sneaks onto your sheets. Visit awkwardessentials.com today and use my code, WYP, for a 10% discount. They offer numerous products for all types of fun fluids. Keep your shorts semen-free and use my code today. That's WYP and save 10%. Awkward Essentials, making bodily fluids less awkward. What's Your Position podcast wants to hear from you. Call 513-6969-SEX anytime and leave us a message. Maybe you have a question about anal. You have a fact about fisting. Or you just want to say, hello, fellow human. 513-6969-SEX. Call us. We will play your message in an upcoming episode. That's 513-6969-739. And remember, stay safe, stay kind, and stay sexy.
Now here you go again. You say you want your freedom.
Welcome back, fellow humans. We're here with Brianna. We're going to talk about feeling sexy postpartum and how to have sex when there are children in the house. I feel like that is a big issue, especially for people who do what's called family bed. Because now you got to have a whole new place in the house to have sex. And then we're going to do our 69 game. So talk to me about how you encourage women to embrace their bodies postpartum. You know, this body that has now created a life, this body that has now held a human in it and grown a human like a plant, it's crazy. I've never had a baby, so I only have like my brain. I'm like, can you feel it growing? Like, do you know that it's like getting bigger? Like, are you aware of the blood and like like everything that's going on inside of you? And then once that is evicted from your womb, is there like any sort of, so I guess I want to break it into two, because mentally I would think, and I have heard that women sometimes feel useless after pregnancy. Their body was this vessel to create life. And now that life is out of them. And what are they good for? And how do they reconcile that feeling mentally, as well as all these new pieces to their body, the stretch marks, the labial tears, the scars and the scar tissues from any sort of suture or surgery that had to take place. Some women may have had nerve damage. How do you encourage both the mental and the physical reclamation of body and mind postpartum?
I love that you're talking about this. It's so important, and it makes me so sad when you're saying that women feel useless after they have a baby, because there's still so much to be done and supporting their baby. Like, you are their everything. Like, just because they're not in, and I feel maybe when it's inside, you know it's protected all of the time. And I think maybe what's happening is unlocking some fears, right? Now this baby's on the outside of you, and how am I going to make sure it's protected all of the time? So I wonder if that might be part of it. But oh my gosh, there's just so much. When you have a baby, sorry, I'm going to get into my feels a little bit.
That's okay. We like it when people get in their feels. Get in there.
Yeah.
I just know that there's a lot of women who experience postpartum anxiety, and that could be because they're worried about keeping their baby safe. And then there's also women who experience postpartum depression. Actually, 90% of women experience baby blues, right? Because all of these hormones have exited your body. And so you have to get used to that. The increase of your own hormones coming back, the loss of the hormones that have been filling you up this entire 9 months. But then for some women, they say about 45% will experience this longitudinal postpartum depression. And some of that comes with this feeling of, I carried a child, now what?
Now you get to have fun and nurture it and figure out
Now's the good part.
Yeah, you get to, and I can see, so the part that I'm going to is, when you have a baby, now it's on the outside of you. A lot of women, and I know I certainly did, you experience this thing called being touched out, where you know, especially if you're breastfeeding, and even if not, like
my sister had that.
Yeah. And
she had nipple aversion.
Yeah. It's like
Metal band.
Yes. I love the comedic relief.
Sorry.
I love it.
I can't hold it.
So no, and I experienced that with my husband. It was a thing where I physically could not stand to be touched by him, because I was caring for our son every waking moment. And so part of that reclamation is figuring out how to feel good in your body. And that's not just like accepting the changes to the body. It's literally what can feel good to me in this moment? What touch feels good to me? What do I need? And listening to that. And then when you get into the accepting of body, looking at yourself in the mirror as much as possible.
Wow.
Loving your body, acknowledging like the different parts of you. Like if you're missing the baby, just be like, wow, belly grew and held my baby that is now here. It gave me a baby. Acknowledging, loving on yourself as much as possible, enjoying if your breast grew, like, great, enjoy those. If you didn't have them before, like, grab some shirts and show them off. Like, it's okay, acknowledge that. And so, yeah, just, oh my gosh. And another thing that I highly recommend to women, pregnancy, postpartum, having a maternity or postpartum photo shoot. Seeing the changes of your body. You had your baby and now you're holding your baby, doing some of those, beautifully done naked pictures together. Naked baby, naked mom, breastfeeding. Oh my gosh, I didn't do that. I wish I would have. You get to
brilliant
be
idea.
this reminder of how beautiful this experience is. And it's not over. It's continuing. And so that's like of the accepting of the body, reclaiming yourself. And then I can also get into like how to start feeling more sexy too, if you want.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So continuing on with that, it's getting dressed up for yourself, not just for date night. Getting dressed up for yourself. Put on, a sexy outfit, your favorite perfume, do your hair and makeup, and look at yourself and be like, damn, sis, I still got it.
Damn,
like, look at me.
Fine as fuck.
Yeah. And even if you are just go for a walk or whatever you need, go walk around Target, like show yourself off. Like, it's okay.
Put on some heels, some fishnets, some makeup, and go walk your ass around Target.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other part of that is putting lingerie on. So putting lingerie, and there was a study, and I wish I didn't know I was having like this statistic queen here. I wish I had a number to share with you.
I'm ridiculous.
I love it though. But there was a study done where women wore lingerie every day for a whole week, and the boost in confidence that they got from wearing the lingerie for themselves. And I think that's a big misconception is about lingerie is it's for your partner. Why would I even wear it? It's just going to end up on the floor anyways. I'm like, no, wear that. Like, wear it, enjoy it the whole time. There's snap crotches, there's dresses, like you're fine. Like
there's crotchless lingerie
exactly.
for a fucking reason.
Wear
so it stays on.
Yeah, but not even to have sex, but just to feel good in your body, feeling the material against your skin, going to sleep in that. Like, by the end of the week, you're going to notice like you're strutting a little taller. You're feeling really good about yourself. And so I always recommend lingerie to everybody.
I love that. That's brilliant, actually. I think that is so strong and so powerful for even women who aren't pregnant.
Yes.
Like wearing lingerie just to feel sexy. I have a mild baby shopping addiction to lingerie. I might have 2 full drawers of lingerie because I can't stop buying it because it's so hot. And I'm like, it looks great on her. I'm going to wear it. And I sleep in it. I just put it on and go to bed.
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm hot.
Right. You look at it, you feel it. Like, it's a great way to wake up in the morning. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I have the male version of that?
Yeah. What's the male version of that?
Guys, go get a suit. Getting a suit, tailored to you. And it's the best. Not buying the Sears one.
3-piece, like with vest.
Whatever you're feeling. Whatever you're comfortable
You know what
with.
I like? I like that 3/4 vest. Not the full lapel, but like the half lapel vest. You know what I'm talking about?
Peaky Blinders.
The Peaky Blinders kind, yeah.
But wear a tie. I hate the Peaky Blinders don't wear a tie.
No, yeah, I like the tie.
Wear a tie.
I do enjoy a
and
tie.
do a good cool knot.
And if you're a fan of Yellowstone,
Shoes.
wear a bolo tie. You know what I mean? That's great.
Good cowboy hat too.
Ooh,
That's a whole thing.
some boots.
Yeah, that's how guys treat themselves.
I like that.
There you go.
I like that a lot. How do you encourage couples to get intimate and sexual with children in the house?
Yeah, that just, every dynamic is going to be different because like you mentioned before that bed sharing, co-sleeping is a thing. And so when the baby's old enough, about 3 or 4 months with co-sleeping, you can start them in their crib and then they come into bed at night. But that's when, and you have to like make it a point. So we also do this thing where we talk about, we call it a relationship board meeting. It's each week where you actually plan out how you're going to like spend time together. It's so important.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're putting the baby to bed. They're going in the crib tonight. That's our time to do this. And it doesn't sound sexy, but you can also prepare for it too, you know? And so,
if you know that Friday night is the night you're going to fuck,
Especially dudes.
you can start sending your partner photos Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You can start trying on lingerie and sending a photo of the lingerie. You can start telling each other in passing in the kitchen, I can't wait to lick your pussy on Friday. I can't wait to put your dick in my mouth on Friday. Building that anticipation up, making it this game of, we're doing this. I can't wait that it doesn't have to feel planned and boring.
Right.
It can be anticipatory, even though it's on a calendar.
Yep. And I think that's
Kind of like going to Disneyland. When I know I'm going to Disneyland, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get a fucking pickle and I'm going to ride Rise Against the Resistance. Oh my God, I can't wait to see Mickey.
But also, like the spontaneous, hey, we're going to Disneyland right now, Ashley. What?
The spontaneous
Yeah.
Disney is fucking amazing.
So you gotta throw that in there every once in a while.
If the kid takes a nap and your husband happens to come home early from work,
go,
and you're like, want to fuck? It's like, yes, I want to fuck right now. Like the spontaneous intimacy is important just as much.
very much. And you'll get more of the spontaneous when you have the scheduled. Because the more your body...
Really?
Yeah. Because the more you're having that connection time together, the more your body has orgasms, the more it wants orgasms, right? So if
Mind
you're
blown.
planning it, then you're just preparing yourself to have more of that spontaneous. Because I find a lot of people say they're like, it should be like in the movies where I get, you know, like, no, that's not actually going to happen. And it's
That never
definitely not
happens.
going to happen when you have kids. So,
It doesn't happen when you have them. It doesn't happen when you don't.
yeah. So
It doesn't.
yeah, you get more of the spontaneous when you have it scheduled. And so, yeah,
That's
I love
brilliant.
that. Yeah.
And
Make
then
sure you have a
how
good
do
lock
you-
on your door. So that's pretty much it.
What about
Barry White cranked up.
Yeah, right. So when you have kids who are old enough to enter a bedroom, how do you prepare your children, or if they walk in on you, do you have any suggestions for parents if they happen to walk in while mommy and mommy, daddy and daddy are having a good time?
Yeah. I'm cringing a little because we had this happen with our son. So I'm going to share the story because I feel like this podcast is like here for it.
We are welcoming.
So we were in our room. Our daughter's. This was before she was 3, so she's about 2.5. This spring. We're in our room doing her thing. We do shut the door. It takes her a little bit to open it. So we're like, okay. She comes in. She crawls into our bed. We're just kind of laying there. She goes to sleep. So we're like, well, there's an open bed. So, so we might have gone to our daughter's room to finish. And then,
Yes, you did.
but we didn't because we look over and the door just kind of flies open and our 6-year-old is standing in there and he's like rubbing his eyes and he's like, why are you guys in Sissy's room? And we're like, I'm on top and we're just both frozen like deer in a headlight. And we're like, what do we do? So I don't know if I really have anything. We think it kind of scarred him for a couple of days. He wasn't really sure what happened. I'm a big advocate of talking to your kids. If something had come up and he had talked about it, like, what were you guys doing in there? And like, oh, well, Sissy came into our room and we were doing a massage. I don't know, honestly, in the moment what would have happened. But yeah, just short.
Mommy and daddy
short
were having a
answers.
moment.
Yeah, short
They were just having
answers
a moment.
are great when you're talking to kids. Usually that suffices. They're not going to need long, drawn out, detailed explanations. So,
But answering your kid,
Yes.
right? So if your kid says, what were you doing? You can say, well, mommy and daddy were grown-up wrestling.
yeah.
Mommy and daddy were doing grown-up cuddles.
Yeah.
Or mommy and daddy were loving one another. And end that statement, but never saying that's none of your business or don't worry about it or we're not going to talk about that. Because the moment you shame it and shut it down, that's what scars the child. It's not the explanation, because usually when your kid asks you a question, they're asking, what were mommy and daddy doing, is the same question as, why is the sky blue? They don't comprehend that question.
Yeah.
Like, they're not asking because they want to know about sex. It's not sexualizing your child when they walk in on you. You're saying sometimes mommies and daddies want to cuddle by themselves.
Exactly. Super simple.
Easy. You don't need to over-explain, but never under-explain and never shut it down.
Yeah,
'cause
never
that's
ignore
where
it.
the shame, oh God, the shame and the stigma and the pain and the scarring. And then they know something wrong was happening.
Yeah. Something they are not supposed to know or see or, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been one of my favorite conversations.
Can I have one question?
You can have as many questions as you fucking want.
I'm the one dude here, and I necessarily don't want to have kids, but I'm not sure. You know, I don't like kids, but you know, if I meet the right woman and you know, something happens in my brain, like, oh shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's say I'm married to a woman and she's pregnant. I'm not really into that whole thing. It's come across on like Pornhub. I'm like, skip. I don't want to see that. As someone that probably is going into it like, I don't want to have pregnant sex. How would you convince a guy? Because obviously she wants it. Like there's obviously a time in this
horny.
pregnancy where she's horny. How do you convince a guy to get into it? And does that make sense?
Yes.
I don't know.
I don't think.
I mean, you've talked a lot about it, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know, as a dude that's kind of turned off by even like the, no offense, I think you're beautiful, but like sexually, like,
Yeah.
And I think you might be surprised when it's your person.
yeah.
When it's your
That's
person
what I
and you
don't
have that
yet, yeah.
connection, it's going to be different.
Okay.
And also, you shouldn't have to convince anybody ever to have, you know,
Yeah.
shouldn't be about a convincing, but it's a connecting.
And it's okay if like, even if the person loves them and is totally into them and still not into it, you can still do like mutual play.
Yeah.
There's still options.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't have to do penetration.
Exactly.
There's other options. And like she said, you should never have to convince your partner. So if you're pregnant and you're not horny and your partner is, there should never be a convincing to have sex with that partner. So if you're pregnant and you're horny and your partner's like, I just can't have sex with a pregnant person, it shouldn't be on the other side. No one should have to convince
It's also,
you.
I also like, this is my, you know, future self saying, no offense to you. It's just I think you're beautiful pregnant wise, but it's
Right,
just something
but you
I
might
can't control.
change what she's saying, and I appreciate what she's saying. It's you may not be attracted to pregnant women, but you might be attracted to your woman.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
And that's good to hear.
And as long as you know that, and then you're open and you just communicate with how can you connect and you know, like you said, do mutual masturbation, use toys on her, or you know, different things. Encourage
Different
her
kind of
to have
play.
self-pleasure.
Live in America. We got-
Massage.
Amazon is a click away, guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
massage.
Yeah, that's good.
All sorts of stuff. And just remember, your pleasure is your own responsibility. Like,
Yeah,
you know.
I'm going to put that on a fucking t-shirt. I'm going to get to my stat of the day. So the stat of the day was, according to a recent study in Science Direct, what percentage of women said their libido increased to levels never seen before by them? Yeah. Our guest said 57, and I will let you know our guest is the closest. Our producer said the obligatory 69, and the answer is 38. 38% of women surveyed said
that seems low.
Their libido was the highest it has ever been in their life during pregnancy.
This is America or worldwide?
America.
That's surprising.
I'm shocked.
I think it sounds absolutely accurate, honestly, because of how many women are told that they are not sexual,
Yes.
and how many women have a hard time being sexual. The Puritan and religious cultures that we live in that tell women, like, you can only be sexual if you are with a partner.
Or procreating. Yeah.
Or procreating, or that don't even know they're feeling sexual or that their libido is high because they don't have a partner. It makes total sense to me that when they're pregnant, all of a sudden they're like, fuck, I'm horny. Like, I've never been this horny in my life. That makes absolute sense to me. And I actually thought it would be higher.
Yeah. I thought so too. I was like, it's not going to be
Yeah.
super, but I feel like I have more work
Kind of
to do
crazy,
now.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Get out there and do your work.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to play the 69 game with our guest. I'm so excited when people say yes to this. This is literally one of my favorite things ever. So we're going to play a game here on What's Your Position, where I am going to ask you wait, I'm not going to ask you 69 questions, but I'm going to ask you as many questions as I can in 69 seconds. This is like a lightning round in like a game show. If you ever watched like Double Dare as a kid, I like to liken it to the lightning round of that. By the way, did you know that you look like Winona Ryder?
I did not, but thank you so much.
You totally do.
Yeah, I see it.
Right? So we're going to get started here with our 69 game in just a moment. We are waiting for the game show host to get his music pulled up. In the meantime, I'm going to let you know that we have a sponsor called Awkward Essentials. If you are engaging in sexual activity and you need something to help clean up that cum mess that happens to drip down the side of your leg when you stand up, Awkward Essentials has you covered with their cum sponge, aka the drip stick. You can get them on awkwardessentials.com. Use my code WYP for 15% off of your first 10-pack. Have you heard of Awkward Essentials?
Yes, have them. Love them.
I love them so much.
They're amazing.
I know. They're so good. All right, so here we go. We've got the 69 game all ready to go. Brianna, I am going to ask you as many questions as I can in 69 seconds. You are allowed to pass, but you will not get credit for any past answers. Answers will only get you points. Brianna, are you ready to 69?
I am so ready.
Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
What Hogwarts house are you in?
Gryffindor.
Biggest celebrity crush?
Oh, Ruby Rose.
Call or text?
Text.
Can you drive stick shift?
Yes.
Person you text the most?
My husband.
What drink do you order at a bar?
Margarita.
Do you like oral sex?
Yes.
Hugs or handshakes?
Hugs.
Do you nap?
No.
What's your sign?
Scorpio.
Do you believe in it?
Yes.
Favorite sex position?
Ooh. Girl on top.
Soft or hard? Soft or hard?
Hard.
Sweet or savory?
Sweet.
What's your favorite song?
Right now, Anti-Hero by Taylor Swift.
Horror or comedy?
Comedy.
Do you smoke weed?
No.
Favorite snack?
Anything chocolate.
Do you have a TV in your bedroom?
Yes.
Dogs or cats?
Dog.
Can you play a musical instrument?
Yes.
Would you rather be attacked by 50 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
Ooh. One horse-sized duck.
Ever play spin the bottle?
Yes.
Do you believe in love at first sight?
No.
What was your first job?
I worked at a fast food.
Windows up or down?
Up.
Finish this line. Yippee-ki-yay.
Motherfucker.
Favorite season?
Summer.
Lake or ocean?
Lake.
Front
That's
or-
it. That's it. Wow. And that's been the 69 game. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new leader in the online video top boards of 69 game.
Oh my God, what is it?
I don't have a drum roll. 30.
Whoa!
Which is pretty good even for online.
Okay, so we have in-person 69 game and then online 69 game, because I know there's a little bit of a delay. So you have now crushed the competition of the online 69
you know what?
game.
I think I might have gave her more time. Shh. Shh. There's no officials.
I don't think there's a ref.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Don't look at the timer.
It's fine.
I got it wrong.
Thanks for indulging me.
That was so fun. Thank you so much.
So let's just talk really quick about your favorite charity.
So it is something local. I am in Kansas City, Missouri, and it is a place called Mother's Refuge. And it is to help young unwed mothers that don't have families that are pregnant. And so...
And help them like get through pregnancy, the whole process of
the whole
like...
process.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so
doctor's
them,
appointments.
yeah, takes them
pregnancy clothes.
Yeah, there's a whole
vitamins.
store there, and then up to a year, like to the baby's first birthday, even, which is amazing. Wow. And so yeah, they take them to school, help them get their GEDs, help them, resumes, jobs, like all of the things to support themselves and be
That
ready.
is incredible. Yeah. What is it called one more time?
Mother's Refuge.
Mother's Refuge. So check them out if you are interested in helping out a charity. Would you like to plug anything? Plug yourself, plug your Instagram, plug your podcast?
Yeah, so I also have a podcast. If you're interested in checking out more relationship intimacy kind of stuff, it is called Intimacy Evolution. It is my husband and I. We also have some guests on there, which is a lot of fun. I'm on Instagram, just Brianna Carey, BriannaCarey. And I have a link for some of those free resources on the 3-Minute Touch Game, our relationship board meeting, and some different things. So.
That's amazing. I have just absolutely enjoyed having you on. I can't wait for you to come back and talk to us about relationship and intimacy with or without babies. And I'm just so grateful that you took the time. I know that you have some sick babies in your house right now. So I'm just very grateful for you and very grateful for this time that you gave to us and all your amazing tips and ideas. And I just really appreciate this conversation. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Ashley. It was an absolute blast. I loved our conversation today. So thank you for having me.
Want to remind everybody to check us out on What's Your Position podcast on Instagram. Make sure that you check out our sponsors, mylaurels.com. Use my code What's Your Position podcast for 15% off. Awkward Essentials. Use my code WYP for 15% off. And Pulse Lube, my code WYP for 10% off. We love you so much, listeners. We're so grateful for you. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please remember to always stay safe, stay kind, and stay sexy.
That they left when they subtracted 6 million. So why am I repulsed by change? A holy book has been deranged.
What's Your Position podcast represents the opinions of Ashley Weller and her guests. The content here should not be taken as medical advice and is intended for education and entertainment purposes only. Views and opinions expressed in the podcast are our own and do not represent that of our places of work. While we make every effort to ensure the information we are sharing is accurate, we welcome any comments, suggestions, or correction of error. Stay safe, stay kind, and stay sexy.
Burn at the stake, achieve just a waste. The trauma leaks down, the bombs pelt the melon sky. And on its skin, the heaving begins. The pain to which I cling subsides as the cell divides. Waking to hormones and pleas. Say absent, Lord, but strengthen me. Bend and break the metal bars. I will bleed to know just who you are. Push.